As if you know the driving, you will follow the instructions. Then what happens? You learn the driving. So even though you can't really feel Sukha and Dukkha are equal, even though you cannot feel that success and failure are equal, you behave as it is equal. You understand the example with the driver? Then as you behave, slowly what happens? Samatvam will dawn on you. But this equanimity should not make you averse to actions. You should go on working much more. That is the greatest fault that happened to India, misunderstanding Gita. We misunderstood Gita when he said Nishkama karma. And no desire, no karma. But he said, do that work without desire. How to do it? Practice it. I said, I can't explain you how to drive. If you practice it, it happens. And then the third is where the real tapasya is. What Sri Aurobindo says as tapasya is this. At every moment the ego will lift its head. At every moment you will have to crush it. Real tapasya. Because if you are very hungry and given a very rich food, nice food, but he says, eat it. Will you eat it? Why? The ego is hurt. You understand the point? So the effacement of ego is not difficult, but your real desire to push it down is very difficult. Even for small things, give respect and take respect. They say it. Ego in its fullest bloom. Right? And then allowing yourself to be transformed. This is the easiest way. A transforming deliverance of the nature from its ignorant modes of actions. Which is the power that transforms? How can it transform? If you allow it to transform. We say you transform, but then we do not allow it to transform. Many people say, I surrender to God. If you surrender to your officer and you say to him, do you know how much work he gives you? I think you all know it. You just tell once, you will understand. I am surrendering, I will do whatever you want, and you tell it to your officer. What will he do? You can't go home. And if you surrender to God, who is the Adhyaksha of the entire Prakriti, and you have time to sleep, a wrong surrender. You are not allowing. Until and unless your surrender makes you work more hard than anybody else in the world, the transformation will not come. Because if the muscle has to be built, at least you should strain it a bit more than it can work. Is it not? You have to work a bit more to get the benefit of an exercise. And here, you surrender, you say, and what type of work we are doing? You wait. Let me finish my whatever it is, and then I will come here. A transforming deliverance is only possible when your thoughts, desires and actions together completely show that you are completely dedicated to it. And it is or not, you are the only judge. Your ego is the best judge, and unfortunately it has to be thrown out. So the judge has to be thrown out. But first let him judge. Give him the power to judge. Next. The same thing, the Nishkama Karma. There is nothing there to explain to you except the yellow color you remember, so that when you go through these lines, again he is exclaiming about the sacrifice and the Nishkama Karma. And what is sacrifice? Nishkama Karma, Samatva, and yoga, karmasu, kaushalam. When these three, that is exactly what I was telling you, you have to work hard. Yoga, karmasu, kaushalam. And then you should not be worried about the result. And then only you can aspire to be ego free. Next. At the stage of the yoga, you see the capital letters, unsleeping vigilance. That is what I said, tapasya. At every moment you should be aware whether the ego is deciding or the nature is deciding. Prakriti is deciding. In Sri Aurobindo's language, this is whether mother is deciding. Whether you say whether mother is deciding or Prakriti is deciding, it is exactly the same thing. Next. No, just next. As we have renounced attachment to the fruit, you see the slide, as we have renounced attachment to the fruit, nishkama karma, whether you succeed or not, you are not worried, you go on, it's okay here. We must renounce attachment to the work also. That's where the danger comes. Because very easily, when you are not interested, you say, I want to change the work. The best proof in the teacher's, guru's life is, for 40 years they stayed at one place in a single room and worked. Same work. And you want to change work so immediately, and you say that divine has ordered me to change the work. And if reading these books and spreading this knowledge is not a divine work, what else is? By the authority of Sri Aurobindo, he says the supramental descent is destined. It has happened. I am the guarantee. But what I need is a collectivity of people. And if you want work for it, what more divine work you want? Because to know a divine work, you should have a pure three bodies, mental body, vital body and physical body. But luckily we have an authority who says this is the divine work. And now what should you do? You should put yourself entirely into the development of the supramental consciousness, scientific laws. It is Vijnanamaya Kosha. There are laws in it, and he has given very specifically the laws. That is why I am speaking these things, because I want to go to the laws, the law, the yoga of perfection. Got it? So, not only you should have renounced attachment to the work, but you must renounce attachment to the work also. At any moment, if the Guru says, you wait, I wait. You be very careful where the ego is sprouting. And if you can nip it in the bud, just as it is in the level of the thoughts, it becomes very easy to control ego. If you can control the thought, ego can very easily go away. And when we are trying to annihilate this ego, the most important thing and the role of the Guru becomes important, because to know what the divine ordains to you, you should have a perfectly pure and clean mental, vital and physical bodies. But with all our defects, the Guru has chosen you. So he knows that you are ready to be transformed. So don't ask me, can I do it? If you can't do it, you won't be here listening it. But the only thing is your negative ego, a false humility. Oh, no, I am a very simple man, I can't do these big things. Greatest ego. In your humility, you want to cover your ego. Be very careful. This is very common to all disciples. In any ashrams I say this. You need not be so obedient, because he has ordained you to spread this message. He has given you the books. Now what should you do? Study the books, spread the message, practice the truths. So your yoga of divine works is very simple. You need not ask anybody, what is my yoga of works, what am I supposed to do? You are not supposed to do, you have to do. Your other work, we suppose you do whatever you work as a mother or a sister, as a working man. But this work you have to do. And now we come to the master of the works. Is it that chapter? Equality and in the three modes of nature. The three modes of nature are what I have already told you, the sattva, the rajas and the tamas. And you remember, these are prakritic in nature. You just can't avoid sattva, rajas and tamas. If sattva is more, rajas and tamas will be in a little quantity. That is what Sri Krishna says, the gunatita sthiti. You just can't control these three gunas. If you have sattva, the other two will be lesser in quantity. If you are rajasic, then the other two will be lesser in quantity. If you are tamasic, the other two is lesser in quantity. And now when this topic of sattva and rajas and tamas has come, you remember three more words. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti. These are three beautiful words. Okay. We have tamas. Tamas means not sitting like a stone. Tamas means we don't have knowledge. For example, I don't know the knowledge of chemistry. So I have inertia of that knowledge. Then what should I do? I should learn that knowledge. I get that knowledge. Then what should I do? The inertia is gone, that knowledge has come. Now what should I do? I should apply it in harmony, sattva. You should not overuse it or underuse it. When you are cooking, if you undercook, tamas. If you overcook, rajas. You cook it properly, you eat well, sattva. So these three characteristics you just can't avoid in nature. And in integral yoga, it is a part and parcel of your arsenal. It is your ammunition. It is with this, with which we arm ourselves to go ahead in the path of yoga. So these three, the Ichha Shakti, is the yoga of works. Jnana Shakti is, Ichha Shakti is Bhakti Yoga. Jnana Shakti is Jnana Yoga. What is the yoga of knowledge? And then Kriya Shakti is yoga of works. Kriya Shakti is inertia, because you can utilize only that subject which is inert. If I can make you understand, is it clear? You can hit somebody only if you have something inert in you, a sword or something. Suppose you have a water or a gaseous sword, what happens? Can you hit anybody? So, for Kriya Shakti, tamas is the dominant factor. So, whenever you want to work, if you want to cook, the desire, you should have what? The inert utensils. Suppose you put it on the fire and it burns, you can't cook. So you understand, inertia is also very important. Tamas is also very important characteristic. Unfortunately, I don't know, in India, when we say tamas, we are afraid. But with tamas, we mean the ability to do work. Kriya Shakti. But the ability to do work, Kriya Shakti, must be dominated by knowledge. If you don't have a knowledge, your actions have no meaning. But suppose you don't have bhakti, devotion to that work, though you have the knowledge, though you have the means to do work, if you don't have devotion to do that work, bhakti yoga, you will not work. That is Ichha Shakti. So Ichha, Kriya and Jnana forces are linked with Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Next. Then how to control these three forces, Ichha, Kriya and Jnana? Or you can in another way say, Ichha is the physical body, Bhakti, Yoga is the vital body, Jnana Yoga is the mental body. Am I clear? It is not confusing? Not sufficiently confusing. Huh? So these three yogas are linked with these three gunas. And these three gunas are linked with our three bodies. So this is the integration which we have to do. Next. And what does that just back? Witness. Be a witness to what is happening. And this practice you can do it 24 hours a day. The other practice, what did I say about the other practice? See where your ego is coming up and crush it. These practices must be a part of your daily routine, everyday incident. You always be careful and be aware where the ego is coming up. And next, you see and watch the Ichha, Kriya and Jnana Shaktis, how they are being utilized by your three Purushas. The Annamaya Purusha, the Pranamaya Purusha and the Manomaya Purusha. Next. They rise and fall. Next. This is the formula. The individual ego must cease to strive. So you should not decide what you want to achieve. Who should decide? The divine should decide. But the divine can't come in. Then who should decide? The Guru will decide. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve. It seems that Kabir Das used to say, Guru Govind do khade, kake lagu paए, balihari Guru aapne, Govind diyo bataye. It seems that at midnight, the Guru and the God, Govinda, both came and knocked at the door. The disciple opened. Now the priority, to whom he should bow first? To the God or to the Guru? Then he said, I bow to the Guru first, because if he is not there, I do not recognize God. So the entire yoga of divine works can be simplified as doing the Guru's bidding. Then no individual ego. And our Guru has 5 dreams. All of you know it. So we don't have to wait for the supramental descent and something coming down and make us work. If you can take up any one dream of his and make it something that happens, you are doing a divine work. So that is the individual ego must cease. Now we want to decide what the Guru has said, even though he has written it. Very unfortunate. Many times, in many cases I have seen in many institutions. Once the real people are gone, unfortunately, those who have not been involved with them also try to decide. I am not saying you don't decide, but can you understand the spirit of the Guru and decide? It is very simple. But if it is the ego which is deciding, very dangerous. And who is going to tell it? Only your sincerity. Nobody else can decide for you. But the decision process is here. The individual ego must cease to strive, and then no thoughts. The mind must fall silent. And then you don't try to work for your desires and your thoughts, but you don't try to stop working for what the Guru has wished. That thought and that desire is not your desire. It is the Guru's thought and Guru's desire. Work for it. Next. The master of the work. Very simply, I can say, your Guru is the master of your work. But actually, what Sri Aurobindo meant was, first, you have various levels of the master of work. For the physical body, it is the vital body which is the master of the work. For the vital body, it is the mental body which is the master of the work. For the mental body, it is the super mind which is the master of the work. And for the super mind, it is the divine which is the master of the work. But even in the physical body, it is the divine down and becoming coarser and coarser. There is a continuity of consciousness. Clear? The chapter. Slow. Be slow. Renounce the egoism of the worker. You can work in three ways. You can work with the mental body or the vital body or the physical body. But you should renounce that you are working it. You should understand the power that is flowing in it. Unfortunately, the names God and yoga and this have been misrepresented. You are working with powers, just as you are in electricity, you are working with electric power. Just as in magnetism, you are working with a magnetic power. With light, you are working with light energy. Here also, you are working with the world forces, the vital forces, the mental forces, the supramental forces. And the supramental forces, the best way I advise you is you accept what the Guru has told you and work for it, and that must be your sole aim. Next. Now you can go fast. Wait. For megalomania, but before this? Not there. Sometimes these words we frequently use. I have trusted to the highest and I am betrayed into suffering and sin and error. Many times we feel it. I have prayed to God and I am suffering. As if it is the wish of the God that you should suffer. In the map of India, where is Bangalore? And in Bangalore, where is this place? And here you are sitting in a small country like India, and God is overseeing the whole world, and you say that He has betrayed you. Probably you are betraying Him. I have trusted to the highest and I am betrayed into suffering and sin and error. Or I have staked my whole life on an idea which the stern facts of experience contradict and discourage. As if you know the truth and you have really worked about it. So these are certain words which I often use, and know that they are egoistic, completely egoistic in nature. Next. And you also say, it would have been better to be as other men are who accept their limitations and walk on the firm ground of normal experience. Why should I go to all these difficulties and what? Nobody is hearing me, nobody is understanding me. Nobody is hearing me, ego. Nobody is understanding me, ego. It is ego which is talking. Why should you worry? Did he worry whether anybody heard or not? He did his and did it wonderfully well. Let us imitate him. Next. Understand and accept the arduous, I am reading the golden letter words, and they are very important. Understand and accept the arduous difficulty of the path, and to feel the need of a faith which to the intellect may seem blind, but yet it is wiser than our reasoning intelligence. This is the crux of divine works, faith. We feel the world can't be changed. I, a hapless, a coward, all egoism. When Sri Aurobindo says you are a tool of the divine and you say I can't do it, who is right? You feel you are right, it is your ego saying. When your guru says, you understand what I am trying to tell. You don't worry who is hearing our words. You don't worry who is going to accept our words. You don't worry who is coming with us. But what you should have? You should have faith that he knows better than us. And when he says that supramental descent is a possibility, it is already there. You grab it before others grab it. As Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, if a thief is there and he is just beside a room where there is gold, do you think he can sleep? Do you think he can sleep? And if you can sleep and knowing that supramental descent is a possibility, I don't know what I got confused. Huh? Don't worry, next. For this faith is a support from above. So this faith is an indication of the supramental descent in you. If you have the faith, you will work. If you are working, the faith is there. Therefore, you can just capture the faith, hold on to the faith. It is a brilliant shadow thrown by a secret light that exceeds the intellect and its data. Don't try to argue. Don't put common sense there. No common sense. We have belief, we believe, that's all. That is not at the mercy of immediate appearances. Our faith, persevering, will be justified in its works and be lifted and transfigured at last into the self-revelation of a divine knowledge and divine works. Next. Okay, next. Repeating of the same thing, ascent 1, ascent 2. Just a 1 minute. If the egoism of the worker disappears, the egoism of the instrument may replace it. Be careful about that. You say, I am a vehicle, and you feel, I am a vehicle. But you said, I am. That is the ego. A vehicle doesn't know when it should start and when it should stop. Is it not? So if the vehicle decides when it should work and when it should stop, the egoism of the instrument starts to rise. But don't become weak thinking that it is difficult. Have faith. What is the faith? He knows. And what did he say? Read this and practice it. That's all. Next. This is the most dangerous thing.
If
yes?
that happens, that is a recoil.
Recoil. That is what he is telling here.
Because the journey has to be
Started again.
The instrument, the worker, the master.
Master. But it has become an instrument to the ego. And then what happens? This is why I have changed the color of the very, very important warning. A much worse thing may befall those who break something of the human bonds but have not purity and have not the knowledge. For they may become instruments but not of the divine. Too often, using his name, they serve unconsciously his masks and black contraries, the powers of darkness, the asuras, the rakshasas, the pishachas. And you know about these truths and you are not working itself means somewhere this danger is lurking in us. Can stop a supramental power except your lack of surrender. If you can't surrender, supramental power can't do anything. If you touch electricity with a rubber hand, The powerful electricity can't do anything to you. And you say, I have touched this, nothing happened. You remove the gloves and touch it. Then see what happens. So you remove the gloves of egoism. And then you touch the supramental synthesis. The divine works will start. But if you touch it with a rubber glove, that what I mean by rubber glove, not working, but enjoying reading. It is nothing wrong in it. But if you should know that you are not able to work, am I able to convince you? I am not saying that you don't enjoy reading, and if you are not able to do any work, you are doing something wrong. If you know that you are not able to work is enough. In Arjuna Vishada Yoga, that is what he says. He knows what to do, but his ego says, I can't kill my people. So, if you have that Vishada, the grievance, that I know I have to do this, I am not able to do this. Even that much place is enough for the supermind to descend. So, a small iota of faith is enough. So, all these things are not to terrorize you. All these are to give you a warning so that you may know where the pitfalls are. And knowing a pitfall is always safe. Is it not? So these are not meant to disturb you. These are only an indicators on your path. Next. The attitude of the mind, behold, this is my strength, must not be there. See, I have done this great work. Adhyo abhijanvanosmi konyusti sadrisho maya. You know the shloka in Gita? The Rajasic man, the Rakshasa Asuri, the Asura says, Adhyo abhijanosmi konyusti sadrisho maya. I have done this work, that work, that work. Who is similar to me? They says my strength should not be there. Or behold, God's power in me should not be there. But rather, a divine power works in this mind and body. And it is the same that works in all men and in the animal, in the plant, in the metal. Akhanda mandalakaram vyaptam yena characharam. Yat padam darshitam yena. You have to see it, not say it. Here, it is only a lip service. You should feel that it is the same power which is working in the mineral, in the plant, in the animal, is also working in me, preparing me for the next higher level of evolution. Just as unconsciously, from mineral you have evolved to the plant, from the plant you have evolved to the animal, from the animal you have got this. You have done nothing, the force has done this. Then it can do the next step also. You need not do anything. And this is the spirit of divine works. A divine power works through me. Next. After the removal of the ego, the removal of the veil of nature and the inferior modes that govern the mind, life and body. And once the ego is removed, the other three things become simple. What are the three things? Removal of the mental, feeling that I am doing it, the thoughts, and then my vital, my desires, and my actions, my physical automatically go. Next. Just as I told you, the mineral, plant, animal, and human bodies have been shaped by the above. It is as it has not shaped us into the supramental beings, but it will do it. Because it has done all these four, the logical conclusion is the evolution continues. But what is yoga then? Speeding up that evolution. You become the pioneer. Next. 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 The divine work. I am talking about divine work from the beginning. Is it not? So what is the secret of the divine work? annihilate your ego and feel the higher power flowing through you and molding you. How, just as the higher power molded a mineral to a plant, molded a plant to an animal, molded an animal to a human being, similarly it is going to mold me also. But now what you are doing in the first three states, from mineral to plant to animal and human, it was an unconscious process. It was not a yoga. And now it becomes a yoga of divine works with this feeling. So that is what divine works is. Right? Slides 1, 2, 3. Now the question comes, we are working all these days, and now we say we surrender to the divine. And when you surrender to the divine, until and unless the divine wants you to do some work, you have nothing to do. These are the questions. Next. The only way of understanding the truth is to live in the presence. And what do you mean by the living in the presence of Sri Aurobindo and in the presence of Mother? Or if you want to generalize it without any names, live in the presence of the Purusha and live in the presence of the Prakriti, with Prakriti deciding the step, not the Purusha deciding the step. That is where we have to read and read and read all his books. Because in all other books, it is the Purusha who decides. And the Purusha is immobile. No Shakti. And Shakti has got to have assent from the Purusha for the activities has to mold. But even Purusha is dependent upon Prakriti for the results. Without Prakriti, the Purusha also cannot get the results. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. But it may too be called to a work which will not only alter the forms and sphere of its own external life, but leaving nothing around it, unchanged or unaffected, create a new world and a new order. You now try to understand this point. We are trying to remove the ego. We are trying to become the instruments. And we are also trying to become unconscious instruments, but conscious workers. Am I clear in this statement? The instrument must be unconscious instrument. But it should be conscious of what is being done. Because if it becomes conscious of what is being done, again the ego comes. That I am an instrument. We are trying to do all these things. Then what happens? Two things may happen. You will be where you are, doing your work. You are an officer, you are a businessman, you are a scientist, you are a laborer, whatever you are. You are practicing this, the divine works. What will happen? The first thing that will happen is you will become an expert in your actions. And naturally, because of the egoless state practicing, the samatva will be there. And the speed will be there. Nishkama karma will be there. Am I clear about these three steps? Wherever you are, for the divine works to happen, these three ingredients must be there. Nishkama karma, samatva and kushalatvam, expertise. But these three should be clubbed with egoless state of both the man and the instrument. And then what may happen? He will continue his life like that. He may be there itself. He will be conscious of all this process, but no outward change may happen. Then what he should do? He will continue like that. But Sri Aurobindo says, this kala, in the yoga of works, there are four important things, is it not? We have read about it, the scriptures, the utsaha, the guru and the kala. This is the kala aspect. So, For the divine works, wherever you are, you do this. But it means the instrument, means the sadhaka. But it may too be called to a work which will not only alter the forms and sphere of its own external life. Your external life will change for the better. Yoga, karmasu kaushalam, samatvam, yoga uchyate, and nishkama karma, with the ananya chinta of egolessness and instrumentality consciousness. Am I clear about that word? You should not be aware that you are an instrument. You should not be aware that you are having a ego if you practice it. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham is the promise given by the Supreme. So what may happen? The forms and the sphere of its own external life may change, but leaving nothing around it unchanged or unaffected, create a new world or a new order. That is our destiny. The humanity's destiny. And when you say humanity, you feel we are millions of people around, and all of us have the great destiny. You don't think about planet Earth. You think about the world. And in the world, how many people are there? Even if you are billions. So you understand, your goal is a new world or a new order. And in one particular book I have read that around 2000, a unsacred planet Earth has become sacred planet Earth. You try to understand this and try to meditate on it. The unsacred planet Earth till 2000 has become a sacred planet from that time.
Unsacred earth was there up to 2000
AD. It has become sacred now.
But what about 29 February 1956? The Super
They have descended. No? Now you say a guru was born at a particular date, but his guruism and his guruhood is known after he attains 50 or 60 years. But when was the real guru born? It depends on how you look at it. Got the point? Have their own world level meanings.
So from 29 February of 1956 up to 2008,
The earth has taken time to become divine.
has not been able to work forcibly.
Forcibly. It couldn't be rooted properly. That is why he has to leave his physical body. He has not left planet Earth. Neither mother.
Mother also.
Mother also. So that is where I am saying we have to learn the various worlds of consciousness. Now, next slide. Next. When I say next, don't think I have skipped. I have already explained you, and I have repeatedly explained you that. Next. Supreme love, will and power. In the integral yoga, these three lines of approach give up their exclusions. Now, what are those three lines of approach? The work of knowledge, the work of devotion, and the work of divine works. These three. You understood? This is what we are reading until now. These three must be integrated. The karma yoga, the jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga of works. So work with bhakti, work with knowledge, work meant for divine work. These three lines of approach, giving up their exclusions, meet and coalesce or spring out of each other, liberated from the mind's veil over the self. We live in the transcendence, enter by the adoration of the heart in the oneness, and of a supreme love and the bliss, and all our forces of the being uplifted into the one force, our will and works, surrendered into the one will and power. This is Ichha Shakti, this is Jnana Shakti, and this is Ichha Kriya and Jnana. Next. Supermind and the yoga of works. Next. Now, in the yoga of works and in the supermind's yoga of works, or in any work which a human being undertakes, it is the mind which plays the most important role. It is the force of the mind which plays the most important role, because your thoughts become desire, which is converted into action. So you should know how to think properly. Next. The supramental, I have given you in the first day itself, but I am repeating it. The supramental change is a difficult, distant and ultimate stage. To become an engineer, first you read for the first 10 years, then read intermediate, and then prepare yourself for the MSET examination, and then become an engineer. Here also, the factors are the same. It cannot be and must not be turned into a first time. The moment we start a sadhana, or at any time of your sadhana, don't make the practice of supramental descent your first aim. It is Sri Aurobindo giving you this advice. Then what we have to do? Next. One must first acquire an inner yogic consciousness. What is inner yogic consciousness? Nishkama karma, equality, samatvam, and expertise in whatever you are doing. Until you have these three things, and you know the process of evolution. If you know these things, but you don't know where to go, it is just like driving, not knowing where to stop. So the force of evolution is, of course, the supermind. That is your goal. But you have to practice first the inner yogic consciousness and replace it by your ordinary view of things. So our ordinary view of things, we are acting, I am thinking, the ego must go. The egoless stage, the ego must be annihilated. So this is the first state. Next we go still deeper and discover our veiled psychic entity. You should know the Annamaya Purusha and his potentialities and defects. You should know the Pranamaya Purusha, his potentialities and defects. And you should know the Manomaya Purusha, his potentialities and defects. Next. Afterwards or concurrently, we have to spiritualize the being. How do you spiritualize the being? By surrendering yourself to the powers, whether you know it or not. And how do you surrender? By faith. And what is faith? Your actions must show the faith, not what you say. Your actions must prove your faith. Next. Then, each stage has to be achieved separately. You just can't say that I will not cross over, I will just leave it. You have to reach every state. You understand the three states? The first is the three states of Nishkama Karma, Samatva and Kaushala, and then the egoless state, and then the potentialities and possibilities of our Chaitya Purusha, and then surrendering it to the Lord of actions. Next. Still all evolution must move by stages. Yes, we have told that yoga is very fast. We have told that thousands of years of evolution can be clubbed into few months. But that doesn't mean that you can go directly to the last stage. You have to go step by step, but a bit faster. A hasty and ignorant mind, a too eager force, easily forget this necessity. This is where we all are guilty. Not we, all spiritualists, all devoted people in any organization are guilty of this. A hasty but an ignorant mind. And when we say ignorant, don't take it as an insult. Ignorant to the cause. Ignorant for the high level to which the master wants you to strive. We are ignorant of that. We have our own values, then that is wrong. Next. This is another error. And here only the annihilation of ego will allow you to be conscious of this error. Another error that has to be guarded against is also one to which our mentality is easily prone. It is to take some higher intermediate consciousness or even any kind of supernormal consciousness for the supermind. Supermind is a totality truth consciousness. This you remember. And any other mind has got its own divisions. So whatever you are feeling, if it is truth, it must be akhanda. So a Bharata to become akhanda, a Akhanda Bharat, a Mahabharat, is a necessity of a supramental descent, but only when we have a collectivity of supramental people. That is the gist of what this yoga of work says. Next. The yoga of knowledge, Jnana Yoga, we start it and stop it. The object of knowledge. What is the object of knowledge? The laws of mind. This is the object of Jnana Yoga. You should know that what your mind is, you are not aware of. You are aware of only what your brain captures from your mind. You understand the difference? The brain is an instrument of mind. But the brain cannot capture the entire mind. So what is this brain about which the physical doctors say is the Annamaya Purusha mind. Then you have the vital mind. And then you have the mental mind. This is the object. To know these three states. I am clear about these three levels. The brain is the Annamaya Purusha mind. Of that we are aware. We are aware only of these things. We are not aware of our past and future. So we stop here. Because to enter into the vital mind, we need more vitality. Yeah? But tomorrow I will be a bit faster. And certainly I will finish it day after.